and it reads: nearly half in top 5 U.S. cities don't speak English at home. Record 75 million. Nearly half of the residents in the nation's 5 biggest cities do not speak English at home, choosing instead their native language, according to the latest Census Bureau data that details the impact of a decade of soft immigration policies. And right there you can tell there's a narrative to this article. Now, I'm not the most liberal freak out there. I'm like center right, I guess you could say. Although I think that left right paradigm is a bunch of bullshit, but if I was pressed, I guess I would have to say, like something like center right or something. And I'm proud of being American and all that good, happy, good stuff. But I personally, I've said this before, I speak Spanish fluently. My mother speaks Spanish, obviously, but she was born and raised in New York, and she lived in Puerto Rico for a little bit. But she was mostly born in, she was born and mostly raised in New York, so she's super American. She is unapologetic about it. She doesn't like to say she's Puerto Rican. She's like, no, I am American, and she, if you asked her anything about Puerto Rican politics, Puerto Rican anything, she would be at a loss for words. She's American, 100%. That being said, we don't even, half the time, we speak Spanish at home. She watches Spanish novelas. We eat Spanish food. And the reason I bring all this up is because just because we do that, it doesn't take away from the fact that we're American. And that or North American rather, because, everybody in the Americas is American. I would rather even say United Statian, but for the sake of understanding, American is what I use. And yeah, it doesn't matter what you speak at home. It only matters what you're speaking in public. Now, I understand that this article is being written because recently in Florida, there was a guy that got kicked off of a Taco Bell line because he didn't speak Spanish. He was only trying to speak English. That's ridiculous. In public, we should be speaking the lingua franca, which is English, because we're not just living in a, look at that, the heroin and opioid crisis. Anyway, that's another subject. But yeah, I think that this article is utterly ridiculous. It's it's good to know, I guess, whatever, but it doesn't matter what you're speaking at home. It matters what you are speaking in public. So I don't know, I just think this, they say soft immigration policy. Like, come on, man, seriously, that's such a narrative driven article. Overall, a record of 67 million do not speak English at home, said the Bureau. This is nearly double in 27 years. In its just released analysis of the census data, the Center for Immigration Studies said, as a share of the population, 21.8% of U.S. residents speak a foreign language at home, roughly double the 11% in 1980. The center added, in America's 5 largest cities, 48% of residents now speak a language other than English at home. In New York City and in Houston, it is 49%. In Los Angeles, it's 59%. In Chicago, it's 36%. And in Phoenix, it is 38%. The findings come as more and more reports emerge about both Americans and foreigners getting into heated debates over speaking English. Okay, fine. But there are Americans that speak foreign language, so it's retarded. Americans and foreigners. Like, come on, you shitting me? In one case in New York last May, a man threatened to call immigration police if employees and customers didn't stop speaking English in a restaurant. That's kind of weird. Last week in Florida, a Taco Bell patron was turned away because a worker said nobody spoke English and couldn't take the order. That's equally as ridiculous. But because those things are happening doesn't mean that we got to start regulating people's, speaking another language at home, or hating on them because they're doing that, or anything like that. As long as people are speaking the English outside the lingua franca to communicate, and trying to learn the lingua franca, then why fucking even write articles like this? I mean, no, we should write articles, and everybody's entitled to do whatever the fuck they want. That's fine. But it just seems a little bit like just such a waste of time. Because there's a thing in America where if you speak, like, Americans, we don't like to learn other languages. I learned, my mother didn't want us to learn Spanish. We kind of learned by mistake. She ended up going to Puerto Rico, and we were over there and we learned Spanish because we had to. But if she could have prevented that, she would have done it. She would have absolutely done it. And I think that has to do a lot with just that American attitude of, like, we're in America, speak English, da-da-da. We don't need to learn any other languages. People got to learn our language. And, okay, that, that's true to an extent in public and things like that. We should be speaking English. We shouldn't be going up to white people or black people and just assuming that they speak Spanish, and then if they don't speak Spanish or they don't speak your language, just hating on them and treating them like lesser, because we're in the United States, so we speak whatever, we speak English. That being said, we shouldn't just be hating on people because they're speaking a foreign language at home. It's silly, it's ridiculous, and it's something that we need to be aware that there's just gonna be other people, people not. Why we don't judge people for things they do in the privacy of their home, in any other situation, but of course in this situation, people are gonna hate a little bit, and I don't know, it's silly to me. But anyway, I just read that article and I had to put my 2 cents, even though it's a little rambly as always, but